Okay, I need to tell you about what happened at 6:47 this morning, because this is the moment when every remaining exit closes. The D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals didn't just deny Trump's immunity claim, they destroyed it. All three judges, unanimous, no dissent, no reservation, complete rejection delivered in less than 8 hours. Trump's lawyers filed an emergency stay application at 11 p.m. last night, hoping to freeze the prosecution while they prepared yet another appeal. By 6:47 a.m., the court responded. They didn't schedule oral arguments. They didn't request additional briefing. They didn't engage in procedural delays. They just said no, per curiam, by the court, all three judges signing a single opinion in complete agreement. The ruling opens with language that will be quoted for decades. Former President Trump's alleged efforts to remain in power despite losing the 2020 election were unprecedented in our nation's history. Courts don't use unprecedented lightly. It means this isn't close, this isn't debatable. This is conduct so far outside acceptable bounds that no immunity doctrine protects it. The court issued 4 holdings that destroy Trump's defense foundation: complete rejection of absolute immunity, determination that Trump's actions were private, not official acts, confirmation the charges survive, and a framework that now applies to every case Trump faces. Think about major presidential scandals: Watergate, Iran-Contra, Clinton. In every case, the president resigned before prosecution, got pardoned, or faced consequences short of criminal trial. Nixon was pardoned by Ford. Reagan's subordinates went to prison while he stayed clear. Clinton was impeached but never criminally charged. What's happening now has no precedent: a former president facing simultaneous prosecution in 4 jurisdictions while immunity defenses collapse. Constitutional territory the founders hoped would never be tested. It's being tested now. Trump's team had one remaining hope: the Supreme Court. 6 conservative justices, 3 Trump appointees. Chief Justice Roberts concerned about institutional legitimacy. Surely they'd intervene. Here's the reality: radio silence. Not from liberal justices, from conservatives. From Roberts, Alito, Thomas. From Trump's appointees Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, Barrett. No emergency intervention, no shadow docket action, no indication they view this as requiring attention. That silence isn't neutral. When the Supreme Court declines to intervene after a lower court ruling, it means the lower court got it right. Senator Lindsey Graham, Trump's reliable defender, said this week that without Supreme Court intervention, we could see a criminally convicted nominee in 2024. A Republican senator talking about the Republican frontrunner. That tells you everything about how calculations are shifting. If accountability matters to you, subscribe right now. Here's where the timeline becomes brutal. Judge Tanya Chutkan invoked the Speedy Trial Act. That statute requires trial within 70 days, once immunity questions resolve. The clock started at 6:47 this morning. The D.C. Circuit issues its full opinion February 12, 28 days. After that, prosecutors can demand immediate trial. Chutkan's original trial date was March 4th. If the Supreme Court declines intervention, that date locks. Immovable. And unanimous 3-judge rulings almost never get overturned by full circuit review. The Supreme Court already declined one Trump immunity petition. The window is closing. I want you to understand what's happening inside Trump's legal operation. They've seen the witness list. Mike Pence, his vice president, testifying Trump pressured him to reject electoral votes. Mark Meadows, his chief of staff, documenting Oval Office conversations, planning the scheme. Pat Cipollone, White House counsel, testifying he warned the conduct was illegal. Cassidy Hutchinson, describing what she witnessed before January 6th. They've reviewed the evidence: text messages, emails, phone records, video footage the world saw. They know what's coming. The response has been endless. Truth Social posts, all caps, attacks on Judge Chutkan, claims of bias, election interference accusations, warnings to supporters. Then came the post that set off alarms. If these witch hunts don't stop, our country will face problems the likes of which we've never seen. A former president facing prosecution for election subversion, threatening civil unrest if it continues. This isn't rhetoric, this is potential witness intimidation, potential obstruction. Every post becomes evidence, gets screenshotted, time-stamped, archived, handed to prosecutors building obstruction cases. He can't stop. Every word strengthens their case. And this is where everything breaks. Washington, D.C. looks like it's preparing for conflict. Capitol Police on high alert, security barriers around the federal courthouse, law enforcement coordinating across agencies. Day 1 of a 70-day countdown, FBI monitoring extremist chatter, joint terrorism task forces tracking threats, U.S. Marshals preparing enhanced courtroom security. January 6th taught them not to dismiss Trump's rhetoric. 3 years ago, weeks of fraud claims and fight-like-hell language led to violent Capitol attack. The pattern is documented. Officials aren't taking chances. Let me be specific about the charges. These aren't ambiguous privilege disputes. 4 federal criminal counts: attacking constitutional democracy's core, conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, conspiracy against rights, obstruction of an official proceeding, election integrity, peaceful power transfer, democratic governance fundamentals. That's what's on trial. The jury pool is Washington, D.C. Biden got 92.1% there in 2020. Prosecutors have testimony from Trump's own appointees: Vice President, Chief of Staff, White House counsel, people he chose and trusted, people in the room. But even if the D.C. case has vulnerabilities, Georgia waits. Fulton County DA Fani Willis, RICO charges. 19 co-defendants, meaning 19 potential cooperators. Georgia's evidence is independent. The recorded call: I just want to find 11,780 votes. Fake elector scheme with paper trail. Coffee County voting breach. Different evidence, different statutes, different exposure. None depends on federal immunity. Georgia is state prosecution. Federal immunity doesn't apply. If you're still watching, drop a comment. Do you think Trump gets convicted before November? And Florida, classified documents case. Mar-a-Lago boxes, nuclear secrets, military plans, intelligence sources, 18 U.S.C. 793. Retaining classified defense information. 10 years per count. Trump faces 32 counts. Evidence suggests surveillance footage deletion after subpoenas. If prosecutors prove Trump directed that, it's obstruction. 20 years, not theoretical, procedural. Accelerating. Republicans fracturing. MAGA loyalists doubling down. Establishment creating distance. Threats against Trump critics. Election officials who certified 2020 still getting death threats. But here's the calculation in Republican offices. Polls show 32% of Republicans won't support Trump if convicted. That makes him unelectable. Senate Republicans in swing states distancing themselves. They know a convicted felon at the top creates down-ballot disaster. The 14th Amendment question remains. Section 3. Insurrection Clause. Bars insurrection participants from federal office. No conviction required. Colorado removed Trump from ballot. Maine did same. Supreme Court decides if removals stand. Constitutional scholars being consulted. These highest-level discussions show how serious this is. And here's the part most people are missing. Internationally, this is being watched. NATO allies alarmed. Former U.S. president threatening unrest while facing election subversion charges. Unprecedented in modern democracy. Adversaries probing weakness. China pressuring Taiwan. Russia consolidating Ukraine. Iran expanding enrichment. American instability has global consequences. To the world, America looks vulnerable. Beyond immediate mechanics, constitutional reckoning is underway. The D.C. Circuit shattered assumptions that former presidents exist beyond criminal accountability. That wall is demolished. Decades of presidents relying on political norms, institutional deference, avoid explicit crimes, respect oversight, accept results. Those norms no longer provide sufficient protection. Judicial immunity rejection permanently shifts executive power balance, changes the game for every future president. Prosecutors operate on criminal justice clock, not political calendar. Once that clock starts, it doesn't pause for polls, doesn't wait for primaries, doesn't bend to party pressure. Trump's rhetoric shifted in alarming ways, not just claiming witch hunt, attacking witnesses by name. Pence betrayed him, Barr disloyal, Meadows weak, textbook witness intimidation, federal crime, 18 U.S.C. 1512. But here's the irony. Every threatening post hardens prosecutorial resolve. Every attack becomes guilt consciousness evidence. Every escalation strengthens Jack Smith's case. Trump actively obstructs while prosecution unfolds. Witnesses understand cooperation is rational self-preservation now. Silence is legally dangerous. Once cooperation starts among mid-level players, pressure ripples upward. Flip one co-conspirator, everyone above faces multiplied pressure. This is no longer contained. Here's where we stand. 28 days until full D.C. Circuit opinion. 45 days until trial motions finalize. 70 days until speedy trial clock expires. Jack Smith declared immunity claims meritless. 3-judge panel agreed unanimously. Supreme Court silent. Capitol Police heightened alert. Criminal investigations accelerating across 4 jurisdictions. Disqualification arguments being litigated. This is convergence. Everything built over 3 years. January 6th committee evidence, Mar-a-Lago documents, grand jury testimony, immunity appeals, all colliding into this narrow window. When Chutkan Gavel's opening statements, ambiguity disappears. Jurors won't vote on policy, they'll vote on documented evidence from prosecutors, testimony from Trump's appointees, video the world witnessed. No plausible deniability when your vice president testifies against you. No barely knew him defense when chief of staff recounts Oval meetings. No perfect call defense when jurors hear recordings. Paper trail complete, witness list devastating, charges specific. If conviction before November, sentencing follows, convicted felon becomes nominee, Secret Service protecting detained candidate, campaign via video, political operation paralyzed by criminal consequences, no precedent. Trump remains most unstable variable, reactions growing dangerous, openly authoritarian, detached from legal reality. Chaos warnings aren't rhetorical, they're warning signs. Law enforcement treats them seriously. History taught not dismissing Trump rhetoric. January 6th followed weeks of fraud claims and fight calls. Next 28 days, most dangerous window. Trump understands conviction increasingly likely. Control slipping. When cornered, Trump escalates. Pattern documented through business, presidency, post-presidency. Something is going to crack. The countdown is real. Evidentiary record locked. Next move belongs to federal courts. Courts don't negotiate. Next 10 weeks determine not just Trump's fate, but whether accountability means anything in American democracy. The wall is already fracturing. 3 judges unanimous. Supreme Court silent. Prosecutors ready. Witnesses prepared. Security forces mobilizing. And Trump posting threats that become evidence with every word. The legal machinery doesn't stop for politics. It doesn't pause for elections. It doesn't negotiate with defendants who believe they're above the law. Every institution is being forced to choose. Federal judges, Supreme Court justices, military commanders, law enforcement officers, Republican senators. Every person in authority must decide whether power bows to law or law bends to power. Those decisions are being made right now, in courtrooms, in chambers, in offices across Washington, and the choices made over the next 70 days will echo for generations. Subscribe and turn notifications on. Like for detailed analysis, comment your prediction, share with anyone needing to understand beyond headlines. Legal walls closing, procedural exits sealed. 70 days from now, everything changes. The system is responding, the test is happening, and the answer to whether American democracy can hold its leaders accountable is about to be written.